Hi, welcome to Spec Hunter. Today we're looking at two of the most interesting foldable phones ever made. Samsung and Huawei may be moving in different directions with their new tri-folding phones, but putting them side by side gives us a great look at how each brand sees the future of foldable tech. Most people will never get the chance to compare these two devices in a store, so this is one of the few times you can see how they truly stack up. Samsung's Galaxy Z TriFold is designed with one clear goal. It wants to bring this new form factor into the global mainstream. It aims to be the first trifold that regular customers around the world can actually buy and use every day. Huawei's Mate XTS Ultimate takes the opposite approach. It stays focused on the China market and acts more like a showcase of bold engineering. It pushes boundaries, even if that means living with some compromises. When you start looking at the hardware, these different goals become easy to see. The Galaxy Z TriFold is slightly thicker than the Mate XTS when both phones are open, and it weighs about 11 grams more. But when they're folded, the difference becomes so small that it barely matters. Samsung uses titanium for its hinge, giving it strong long-term durability, while Huawei uses ultra-high-strength steel. The difference continues with protection. Samsung gives the TriFold an IP48 rating, which offers some dust and water resistance. The Mate XTS Ultimate has no official rating at all, which may worry some users who travel or spend time outdoors. The real gap between these phones appears when you actually start using them. Samsung uses an inward-folding G-shaped mechanism that opens in two steps from the right side. This design requires a dedicated cover display, and Samsung even uses strong vibrations and alerts to prevent people from folding the device in the wrong order. Huawei chooses a Z-shaped design instead. This leaves a part of the inner display exposed so it can act as the cover screen. It feels flexible and lets you use the device like a regular foldable with two facing panels. But this design also brings clear durability concerns since the exposed part of the soft inner screen is used every day. These folding systems also shape the display experience. Samsung gives the TriFold a bright and sharp 6.5-inch cover display. It feels very similar to the one on the Galaxy X Fold 7. When you unfold the device, you get a 10-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X panel running at 120 Hz. It looks smooth and vibrant. It is not as sharp as the cover screen, but still gives you a big, immersive space for apps, games, and media. Samsung has also added a shock-absorbing layer underneath the main panel. This extra layer should protect the screen better over time. Huawei goes for a slightly bigger 10.2-inch OLED panel. It offers higher peak brightness and a higher pixel density, but it only goes up to 90 Hz, which makes it a bit less smooth than Samsung's screen. Because Huawei does not include a true outer display, you end up using a portion of the inner screen as the cover screen. On paper, this sounds convenient, but it also means the most delicate part of the phone faces daily wear and tear. Even so, both devices unlock a large tablet-like space that makes multitasking, gaming, content viewing, and creative work more enjoyable. The biggest split between these phones appears when we talk about performance. Samsung benefits from its long partnership with Qualcomm. The Galaxy Z TriFold uses the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, built on a 3-nanometer process. It is not Qualcomm's newest release, but it is still extremely powerful. It comes with an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 830 GPU with hardware-accelerated ray tracing, and a strong NPU for AI features. Samsung pairs this with 16 GB of LPDDR5X RAM and up to 1 TB of fast storage. This hardware makes the TriFold feel ready for any heavy task. Huawei, restricted from using Qualcomm's latest chips, uses its own Kirin 9020. It is built on a 7-nanometer process. It works well for normal tasks, multitasking, and some games. But when you compare both phones side by side, the difference is clear. Samsung simply has more raw power, especially in demanding apps, fast multitasking, and advanced AI tasks. This performance difference continues into the software. The Galaxy Z TriFold runs One UI 8 on Android 16. It is a familiar system, but redesigned for large and complex displays. You get Samsung's Now Bar and Now Brief features. You also get more flexible split-screen options, going as wide as a 90:10 ratio. Quick Share works better, animations feel smoother, and Samsung has added a new accessibility suite. One of the biggest features is the standalone DeX mode. It creates a desktop-style environment with up to 4 workspaces and multiple apps on each one. The phone can also hold 3 portrait apps side by side. With Gemini Live, dynamic UI adjustments, and the full Galaxy AI suite, the software becomes a powerful selling point. Samsung also promises 7 years of OS and security updates, which gives users long-term confidence. Harmony OS 5.1 on the Mate XTS has its own strengths. It offers a PC-like office layout and a clean 3-pane interface. It switches smoothly between different screen modes and supports a useful cross-device feature called Super Transfer Station. Huawei's Assistant is also quite capable, but the lack of Google Play services and the smaller global ecosystem limit the experience for most international users. This makes Huawei's device harder to recommend outside China. The camera systems show a mix of strengths on both sides. Samsung uses a new 200-megapixel main sensor, which gives you sharp detail and better flexibility for zoom and cropping. Huawei keeps the advantage of a variable aperture, which helps in different lighting conditions. Huawei's ultra-wide and telephoto cameras also offer higher resolution and more optical zoom than Samsung. Samsung includes 10-megapixel selfie cameras on both the outer and inner displays. Huawei only has an 8-megapixel selfie camera on the inner screen. For video, Samsung takes the lead with 8K at 30 frames per second and 4K at 60 frames per second. Huawei tops out at 4K 60, and the front camera only does 4K 30. The bigger difference comes from software. Samsung's AI editing tools in One UI are more advanced and more polished than Huawei's tools in Harmony OS. Battery performance shifts the advantage a bit. Both phones have a 5,600 mAh battery, but Huawei supports much faster charging. It offers 66-watt wired and 50-watt wireless charging. Samsung is slower with 45-watt wired and 15-watt wireless. Huawei also uses a silicon carbon battery, which can be more efficient. Even so, Samsung's 3-nanometer processor and One UI optimizations may give the TriFold slightly better real-world endurance. Availability and pricing show the biggest difference. The Galaxy Z TriFold is still expensive, but Samsung plans a proper global launch. It starts in Korea on December 12, 2025, then expands to China and Taiwan by the end of the year. It will reach the United States in early 2026. Huawei's Mate XTS Ultimate is mainly sold in China. It recently appeared in the UAE, but a wider international release seems unlikely because of the hardware limitations and lack of Google services. When you look at everything together, the Galaxy Z TriFold stands out as the more complete and future-ready device. Samsung has the global reach, the strong logistics, and the software support needed to bring a TriFold phone to the mainstream. Samsung already holds around 1/5 of worldwide smartphone shipments as of Q2 2025. This gives the TriFold a much better chance at success. The Mate XTS Ultimate is still impressive. Its flexible design, bright display, and fast charging make it exciting for enthusiasts. But its exposed screen, Mid-range processor and software limitations show that it is not ready to challenge Samsung's broader goals. It feels more like an experiment than a true global product. The future of trifold phones depends on how quickly companies can expand availability and justify high prices. These devices cost 2.5 to 3 times more than a regular flagship phone. Only a small group of buyers is willing to spend that much. People will need stronger durability, better warranties, and long-term support before they feel confident choosing a trifold as their main device. The form factor is improving slowly and steadily. It may take another 3 to 5 years before these devices start looking mainstream. But the Galaxy Z TriFold and the Mate XTS Ultimate already show the direction foldables are heading. With that said, consider subscribing to the channel for more comparisons like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. For more videos, please like and subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.